Peace Corps was started by a man named Sergeant Shriver, who was married to Eunice Kennedy Shriver, the sister of JFK, and it was actually enacted by John F. Kennedy in 1961. It is created as an agency of the Department of State and was given permanent funding. In order for you to understand what Peace Corps does in El Salvador and why, you should be informed of El Salvador's history. This area was settled by Spain. Along with other Central American countries, it seceded from Spain in 1821. It was then controlled by the Spanish descendants who stayed behind. This group comprised 5% of the total population. 5% was composed of mestizos and natives. There had always been tension between the two groups, and it continuously escalated. In 1932, a death squad was sent out to subdue a small rebellion, and approximately 30,000 people were gruesomely murdered. Instead of ending thoughts of rebellion, the bloodshed impassioned the rebels even more. Eventually, these tensions reached a breaking point and led to a civil war. This war sparked a sum of awful events, such as the assassination of the Archbishop and human rights activist Oscar Romero, and the 1989 Jesuit massacre. The civil strife lasted 12 years, from 1980 to 1992, and claimed a total of 75,000 lives, and an unknown amount of missing people. The war came to a close and the army was overthrown by a group of moderate officers. This brought a lot of joy to the people of El Salvador, but the hardships kept on coming. In 2001, massive earthquakes struck and destroyed entire villages. 12,000 lives were lost, and 1 million were rendered homeless. In 2005, a volcano known as Santa Ana erupted, and many of those who escaped were caught in Tropical Storm Stan. It was an extremely tough time for a country that had already been through so much adversity. They needed whatever help they could get, and that is where Peace Corps finds its role. Peace Corps had been present in El Salvador since its birth. They only retracted from the country when it became too dangerous during the Civil War.
I was a Peace Corps volunteer in El Salvador. Like all volunteers, I served 27 months, which includes 3 months of training to help prepare me to transfer skills to my host community. I lived in a rural village of about 800 people in the mountains of northern El Salvador. The main crop grown in my village was coffee. So, in December and January, I spent my days picking the crop with my community. My free time was also spent dancing to bachata music, having picnics near the river, and playing soccer. Peace Corps places volunteers based on the skills they have, which in my case was health. Because of my experience supervising a sports and nutrition camp and my college health-related volunteer experience, I was a rural health and sanitation volunteer. My main counterpart was La Asociación para el Desarrollo Comunitario, which was called the ADESCO for short, the local community group. You might be a business volunteer or work in education, maybe agriculture or information technology. Peace Corps works to match your skills and experience with the appropriate program. Even though you have a primary assignment, you can also use your other skills to help the community. For example, in addition to working with the ADESCO, I work with the local teachers and health promoter to create workshops in nutrition, reproductive health, and sanitation. I also had the chance to coach a girls' soccer team and create youth day camps. You are there to implement the projects that the community wants.
As she said in the video, these participants use the skills they acquired from living in a developed country and bring them to somewhere that needs people with that skill but cannot necessarily acquire them. They exemplify what we strive for here at PrEP, and that they are men and women for others. Notice how she accentuated and even gave examples of how immersed she was. This shows how they believe that fraternizing and going into solidarity with those that they are helping is necessary. This way, American ideas such as consumerism or capitalism are not necessarily or intentionally imposed upon the people whom are helped. These systems just may not be fit in El Salvador, and so it would be wrong to foist them upon the communities. Instead of simply sending the money and hoping they can use it correctly to help themselves, they send agents of change directly into the communities to teach and have a generally positive influence on the place. It allows them to understand the people more well so that they can identify and help them with exactly what they need to be helped with, and have a personal connection with them so that they want to fully liberate them of their hardships and see them thrive. Although it may sound like the agents all enjoy their time in the communities, the end goal of the organization is for the country to no longer require the services of the Peace Corps. All of the companies should at least attempt to make a positive difference in the world like Peace Corps has done. If at least the majority of organizations can carry these values and goals out, there will eventually become no need for agencies like it. Hopefully the idea of basing an organization off an ethic will be emulated by other companies in the future. Although it's easier for Peace Corps as a nonprofit, other companies can advocate this concept by simply including it in their thought processes.